Get it all.
Hello.
Hello there. Hello, everybody. Hello, uh, Leia Rose, Phil McCracken, Fat Steven. Yeah. Darth Mandalorian, Anthony, YouTube fan. Thanks for joining us. With me today is the Star Wars Obsession. Hello, Obsession. How's it going?
Hello. How's it going?
And as you all may know, Daryl is not here today. He is at Retropalooza. He did give me a call and say, "Hi, everyone. He misses y'all, but he's there having a blast with Loki, Mexican Iron Man, and Nick from EBN. So we'll have video and lots of pictures when he gets back."
Well, that explains a lot of.
Yeah. Yep.
I think.
I told him.
I
I
think.
told him
I
don't
think
get too
X-wing.
wasted.
I think X-wing is co-hosting the EBN thing tonight at 5.
Mhm.
Because Nick is with Daryl.
Yeah. I said, look, you're down there with Loki, Mexican Iron Man, and Nick. Don't get too wasted, man.
Yeah, that's you're asking a lot there. You're
I
asking
know,
a
right?
real lot right there. So
Oh yeah. So we are gonna talk theories today. And one Fat Stephen gave Daryl a shopping list.
yeah, attaboy.
Oh, yep. And Leia says hello, Obsession.
Hello. Hello. Yeah,
Oh
Dave's drinking a lot. They're having a good time.
yeah.
They're having a good time.
Oh yeah.
So yeah,
He
some
did.
theories, huh?
Yeah, but before we dive into that, you and I were talking before we started about uh, Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah.
It's funny how we've gotten nothing about her contract or anything being renewed.
Yeah, she's responsible for as CEO, your job is to keep the shareholders happy and to make sure they're making money. And probably so far she's doing a pretty good job at that. Just with the release of the Star Wars content and how much everybody enjoyed it, as well as the Marvel content that was released this year that's continuing to be released. She's made them a lot of money. So if anything, they're in contract negotiations possibly to keep her on board and to possibly pay her more money. So I think that's, if anything, I mean, as much as I know everybody wants that woman to go away, she just had a friendly or business meeting with Daisy Ridley. So, she could be talking to Daisy about reconciling their differences and her coming back to the franchise. There's still a lot of balls in the air, that could determine whether she stays or goes, and it could be under her own. She could get a better offer from one of these bigger companies too.
Mm-hmm. Or she could just retire.
Yeah,
I
that would be
mean,
nice.
she is in her 70s, right?
Yeah, I mean, but look at the Bobs. The Bobs are like 600 years old. So I mean, they're not going anywhere either. Um, so I think when it comes to from what I know about television people, it's tough to pump the brakes, especially when you're
Mhm.
on the top. When you're at the top and people still want you around, it's tough to walk away when they're throwing money and title at you. Um, it's tough.
Mhm.
It's tough to walk away.
Yeah.
even at that age. I mean, look how long George has been doing this, and he still loves being on set.
Oh yeah. And you got to look at Harrison Ford too. I mean, he's 80, 81, something like that. He's up there.
I mean,
And
Spielberg basically invented movies, so I mean, he's like
yeah.
800 years old too. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they're all. It's tough to walk away because it's what do you do with your what do you do? I mean, I get it, but when you're in that echelon of hierarchy, you're the CEO, you've made a buttload of money. You've seen all the places you want to go. You've been done so many of the things you want to do. What do you do in your retirement? You know, and
Yeah.
that's a tough position to be in when you're sitting, at the top of one of the best companies in the world at Lucasfilm.
Mhm. And
So
wealthiest being
yeah,
Disney.
she's made a buttload of money, and she's probably got yachts on the Serengeti, and she's probably got, cabins in Aspen and all this, all the baller stuff you ever thought about, dreamed about. She's got it, done it, been there, bought the t-shirt, signed it, and it's sitting in a
Hmm.
drawer. So it's tough to step away. And that's why I think she'll continue to go until either her health is in peril, or until they literally have just television and movie has just had enough of her. And I
Yeah.
mean that
Hmm.
at the board, because her fate is decided by members sitting around a round table deciding if to keep her or not based on how much money the shareholders have made, because everybody's got a boss no matter where you are in the world.
Hmm. Yeah. And you know, I, I don't know. I don't know. I think it's funny that they made that announcement pushing all the shows back, but didn't include anything about her.
Ooh,
That just kind of caught me off.
you're talking about the Marvel stuff.
No, yeah, when they talked about Marvel and they also talked about Indy when they pushed Indy back. Specifically when they pushed Indy back, didn't make any announcement about her.
I mean, did Indy get pushed back because Harrison's on the mend again, or did Indy get pushed back for other reasons? Because if
They
Harrison's
didn't
on the,
say.
I thought, and like I said, I don't keep up on much pop culture aside from our Star Wars stuff, but I thought Harrison might have got hurt again, or there was something going on that set. There was
Mm,
something other than producing nonsense going on that. So I'm not too sure. I can't really speak on that, but I can say um, the Marvel push is a big push. I mean, that's a lot of
yeah.
their shows that people have been waiting for, that got the back seat for a while.
Hmm.
So I'm very curious about that,
Yeah.
and um, if that has, what that has to do with, whether that is um, because they're behind because COVID put them behind, because that's how a lot of people are right now. A lot of production companies feel like they're behind because they weren't able to shoot everything the way they wanted to shoot it, how they wanted to shoot it over the last year and a half. So it could be because they're behind in effects because there's not enough people um, in the VFX department, or the actors are committed on other shows and doing other things, or there's contract issues because of the stuff that happened with Scarlett Johansson, um, and her winning the lawsuit about the streaming royalties, so to speak.
Hmm.
So I think a lot of those negotiations are still on the table, and I think that's why maybe a lot of that stuff pushed, is because there might be some renegotiations of some contracts, being as they're going to release these things on the streaming platforms at the same time as the theaters, and they don't have that residual on the streaming platforms in their contract. So it could be a contractual thing. There's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of balls in the air when it comes to this time of year with all of the shows and networks. And who knows, they could have an inside track on what's going to happen with the IATSE contract. So who knows? Like I said, there's a
Yeah.
lot of things they could be preparing for. Who knows really right now? I just know that um, what they put a pin in two shows, and they pushed the rest back at least three.
Yeah. Yeah, and that got me as they didn't push him back a whole hell of a lot,
Mhm,
just a few months.
mhm.
But the one that they pushed back a year was the indie movie. That got pushed back a whole year.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that kind of surprised me.
Yeah, I mean, it's I mean, unless they're getting into a rewrite because they're not happy with the way principal shooting went.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, look what they did with Kenobi. They did the same thing. They went back to a page one rewrite. So, um, yeah, like it could be a lot of different things. Were they going to release this on streaming and in the theaters? Because if that's the case, what if Harrison went back to the negotiating table and went like, whoa, 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 time out, time out, time out. We
Yeah.
need to talk about this. So it's
Hmm.
the indie movie. I feel like was kind of a bonus, if you will, or
Hmm.
or maybe the final song in Kathleen's what she pictures as her symphony of work. Um, but I guess now we're just gonna have to wait and see if they renew her contract. I don't see. I mean, honestly, she's made the board a butt ton of money over the last couple years since her last contract. I
Yeah.
can't see why they wouldn't continue to put that faith in her. And if she doesn't get picked up there, I would not be surprised if a Netflix or Amazon Prime scooped her right up.
Yeah. As much as we hate to admit it, she did make them a lot of damn money.
A lot of money.
A lot
I
of
mean,
money.
think about before Disney Plus launched to now
Hmm.
and how many members are paying $80 a year.
Hmm.
They made a lot of money. And that's what at the bottom line, that's her job. People can
Yes,
be
to make them
upset at
money.
her
Yeah.
for story this or story that or however you want to spin her. I know a whole channel that is dedicated to Kathleen Kennedy, basically. Or it's turned into that anyway. Um,
Mhm.
but you know, she's done her job as far as the bookkeepers and the accountants are concerned. She's made them a butt ton of money, and not just through Star Wars, through Marvel, through the other Disney content, through Nat Geo. I mean, she had the Duchess voice over National Geographic um, documentaries, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
that's a lot of people watch that just because she did the voiceover work. She put a lot of good pieces in a lot of good places, and she may have made some mistakes in her previous contract. She may have made some mistakes. But as far as what she's done over the last couple of years, she has shown the board that she can make them money. And the board reports to the shareholders, and the shareholders are the ones that are making money. So as long as everybody at the top is happy, I cannot see a reason why they wouldn't renew. And if they don't, Netflix is waiting. Amazon is waiting. Please let her go because she may not be the producer that we like, but she's got a great reputation.
Yeah, and
Yeah, and
Anthony
Anthony
makes
makes
a point
a
here.
point here.
Something's up
Something's
since
up since
October
October
30th.
30th.
Kennedy's extended contract goes bye-bye. No way they need an entire another year to film something since summer 2021.
Mm.
So it maybe it's not filming, maybe it's the after, after aspects of it
I
or
mean,
what have you, but I don't know that they're going to hold on to her just for that movie. It just wouldn't make sense.
no, I mean, really, it's a collection of work. It's not one movie isn't going to break them. $100 million loss isn't going to erase $80 billion in profit,
Yeah,
right? So,
very true.
I mean, do the math. Indy could literally get stuffed in the can. Harrison could retire. Everybody gets paid their full wage. They claim an insurance claim for whatever reason the production didn't go. They get their money back, and everybody walks home happy. Honestly, it doesn't matter. That movie is not going to dictate whether they sign her for another deal. What's going to decide if they sign her for another deal is how the shareholders and where the stock is at and how much money is being made during her duration. And she can literally pull up a 5-year map of what Disney or Lucas pick the company has where their shares are at in the last 5 years, and they are way up.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
there's no reason.
yeah, and Cobra Disney Jedi, Obsession and I were talking about this as well. Um, but you got to think about it. They've taken away creative control from KK.
Yeah.
So she's really just a seat filler
I wouldn't
at
even
this
say
point.
I wouldn't even say took creative control away from her. I would say she got promoted, right? She was in charge
Yeah.
of story, right? And then they made her CEO, right? She got a sick promotion. And um or whatever her title was before she was crowned CEO, right? So she got a promotion. She didn't get pushed out of story. She got a promotion. And when you get that promotion, you have a very, very busy schedule. You don't have time as much as you used to go poke your head into what they're doing in the edits or what they're doing on set. You have a schedule, you have meetings, you have deals to negotiate. You have a much larger responsibility than just being involved with the story group. And when Dave Filoni got promoted, the other person that was in charge of story, Pablo, he's the one that got pushed to the side. He got put in an office and got
Oh.
told, you need to be quiet and collect
Mm-hmm.
your paycheck until your contract is up. And if you don't, your contract will be void. Right. So that's really the moves that got made is that Kathleen got promoted. Now she's beholden to the board, which is beholden to the shareholders. Pablo got put in a room and got put on ice, and Dave and John got promoted to executive story. And so they are
Mm-hmm.
in charge of story. That's the real those were the real moves that were made.
And
So,
that's really what we wanted, with
yes.
Favreau and Filoni more in charge. That's why we are getting better shit, basically.
Well, we're getting better stuff because the story team is on one page because they're under one big leadership. When you had Kathleen and Pablo in charge of the story group, you had two different ideas. One a very negative interpretation, the other one very trying to get that CEO position. So trying to make money and make big moves by hiring JJ and Ryan and showing that you can run with you can bring those big dogs to this IP. And she made mistakes, large mistakes that cost her uh, her very good reputation up until that point.
Mm-hmm.
And in our business, reputation is everything. You are only as good as your last. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, she wears that crown of shame, that trilogy of shame on her neck, and will forever. It might as well be a scarlet letter.
Yeah.
SWT, Star Wars trilogy fail, right? Those might as well be a scarlet letter. But when she got promoted and taken away from story and Pablo got put on ice, who they brought in the best person to take over the entire story group and
Filoni.
put
Yeah.
Star Wars in a direction that was aligned with George's direction
Yep.
and came in to try to fix and remedy these things through the new movies and content. So, yes, people, I've heard Filoni's a simp. I've heard Filoni's a feminist that's trying to push his feminist agenda. I've heard Filoni is breaking canon with allowing these comics and da da da. This is the
Mm.
dude that George Lucas handpicked to be his apprentice.
Yeah.
This is the man that George Lucas still has, I am sure, several conversations with every week about Star Wars. And it may not be about stuff that is getting made right now. It may be stuff that happened in the past that they're reminiscing or stuff that they want to see in the future. They're having several conversations a week, no doubt. And George is
Mm-hmm.
definitely walking into edits and having conversations with these guys. So it's Star Wars is on the best trajectory it's been in probably the last 10 years.
Yeah. I
So
have to.
forget about Kathleen.
Yeah.
Everybody, I mean, like I said, I know there's a channel that bashes Kathleen every single video, and I love him. He's great. But I don't think our attention should be on her anymore. I think everybody needs to just let that ship sail off into the distance and let her finish out her term as long as she keeps letting Dave and John do their thing at Star Wars. and lets Feige continue to run Marvel the way he has with grace and perfection, um, I think she will continue to be CEO because she is making the right moves.
Hmm. Yep. I have to agree with you. As much as I despise Kathleen Kennedy, and I do
Mhm.
despise her,
There's a lot of that.
um, she's not in control of anything anymore.
No.
And as long as we have Filoni, and I don't care what people say about Filoni, you've heard me say this before, Obsession. All you guys in the chat have heard me say this before. Until Filoni gives us something that is shit,
Mhm.
I have no reason to not believe he's going to give us anything but perfection because up until now, everything that he has given us has been of perfection, in my opinion. I mean, we have Ahsoka Tano because of Dave Filoni,
Yeah,
one
I
of the
mean,
most popular characters in Star Wars right now.
yeah, and I love it because she and just like Hayden, just like Anakin in Revenge, um, got so much hate. So
Oh,
many
yeah.
people hated the characters, and that's what I enjoy now. I enjoy driving the bus that everybody's just been crapping on for years, and then pulling over and everybody's jumping on my bus. So I
Hmm.
enjoy it. I think that Ahsoka Tano is not only, and I say this knowing there are going to be stones thrown at me, but for me, I feel like Ahsoka Tano is the most complete female character we've ever had in Star Wars. I feel like we have gotten to see her entire journey and understand why
Yeah.
she is the way she is, and I I love Leia's character. I love all of the female characters, but for me, Ahsoka has the most complete arc, and um, you always get to see her fail. And I think that's an
Yeah.
important lesson
Hmm.
for young, specifically young women to understand. Failure is okay. Failure is a
Hmm.
good thing. Failure will teach you the best lessons in life. So don't be afraid of it. Just learn from it. And I think Ahsoka really shows that. So,
Yeah. And I think she is also probably the most well developed only because we got so much of her development in the Clone Wars and afterwards in Rebels and continuing on. Whereas with Princess Leia and other female characters, we hadn't really had a whole lot of character development with them outside of the movies. Now, maybe we will get that. There's been books, of course, but how many
yeah,
people really read books? I read all the books,
yeah,
but aside from people like you or I, how many people really read the damn books?
yeah,
But she is the most well developed female character out there, only because we had so much of her. But
yeah.
somebody in the chat had asked any updates on the strike.
Yeah, there's a vote coming. I'll keep you posted when more news is available. There was some dark stuff that happened this week on set of a movie. If you don't follow mainstream news or have your head under a rock,
Yeah.
Alec Baldwin shot and killed a young lady on set in a horrible accident, and so um, I don't know if that is going to change some minds on how they vote as regard to safety on set and things like that. So there's a lot of there's that's still a very fluid process. I know the memberships are talking to the members. I actually left the members Zoom meeting to join this, um, but they were winding down anyway. But yeah, I mean, more to come. Stay tuned.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, aside from that, he also there was another director or she was something, and she's now paraplegic from the accident as well.
Yeah, well, there's another story out there brewing that a lot of people don't know about a crew member on a reality show that I don't even know the details. I just know that person is now permanently disabled. So
Mm,
um, within a 2 week span of this initial vote to strike, there have been two incidents where people's lives are changed. And I mean, the director of the Rust movie with Alec Baldwin, where that happened, he's still in the hospital. He's still in
oh
the
wow.
ICU because I think he took one or took something somewhere. I don't know details,
Mm,
but that's still very fluid. So yeah, things are going to change. Or things are, I don't know if that is going to change some people's vote or their mentality on things. um, so things are still very fluid right now.
yep. And that makes sense with the situation at hand. But all right, we got all that taken care of. Now let's move on to what we want to talk about. Theories. So we'll start out with Book of Boba, since that's the one that's coming up the soonest, the quickest. We're within what? We're within 2 months of that coming out, man.
Yeah,
I have no.
it's about 75 days here. Under 75 days, I believe, as of the 15th. So
Hmm.
um, so yeah, we're close.
I'm pretty
What do you think?
excited.
What do you think?
I well, with what they've been coming out with and tweeting and all this stuff, saying all, what do you say? All
All
thrill, all
filler, no
kill,
killer.
all
All
filler, all killers,
no,
whatever it is he
all
was saying.
killer, no filler.
Yeah, there you go. Um, I think it's gonna be fucking fantastic, in all honesty. And I really think, my honest opinion, I think they're gonna bring Mace back in Boba, because that was a big part of Boba's arc in the
Yeah,
Clone Wars,
yeah,
where his main goal was to freaking kill Mace Windu because Mace killed Jango, his father.
yeah.
And I think because of that, either, and I don't know how it's going to play out, but this is my theory. I think either in the episode before the last episode
Hmm.
or the last episode, the end scene is going to be Boba walking up on someone and you don't see who it is. And he says something like, I'm here for my vengeance at last, or some crazy line like that. And and all you see is the bottom, the boots and the robe, and you see a purple lightsaber light up, and that's how it ends. And at that moment, you're going to know exactly who the hell it is.
Yeah,
But it depends on if they're going to do more Book of Boba, which I don't think they are. Um, if they are, or if they intend to extend the story into the Mandalorian or something else, I think it'll be the very last episode. But if this is going to be a one and done and they're not going to extend it any further after this, I think it's going to be the episode before the last episode. And the last episode's just going to be an epic battle and all kinds of shit going on in that one. What say
yeah.
you?
Uh, yeah. I mean, I can see the appeal. It feels if there's something I've learned about Star Wars the last couple years, especially with the lead up to Luke, um, it's always a rope a dope, right? There's always something saying, "Hey, look over here at this shiny object," while they're really
Mhm.
doing stuff over here. So for me, I would love to see Boba Mace. Um,
Oh yeah.
I think that would be an amazing season finale or an amazing arc to the show. However, I feel like I feel like the Book of Boba for me would be the most entertaining if it was kind of like a Kill Bill hit list, right?
Yeah.
So he
Yeah.
gets to he gets his armor back, and basically we see flashbacks from all the times he was bested or was, betrayed or whatever, and or maybe people that didn't come to help him when he called for help after the Sarlacc pit.
Hmm.
Um and he's just
I
got to
think
hit.
we'll see how he escaped the Sarlacc pit too. I think we'll
Yeah,
have
for
a
sure.
flashback on that,
For
beyond
sure,
a
for
doubt.
sure. But I feel like, it would, just like we saw him, kill Bib. I think we're going to see maybe For sure. For me, I think 100%. I hope this is the very first episode. I hope the first episode is um, basically a scene where right after he kills Bib, in fact, I want Bib's body still on the floor. I want them to pan up from Bib's body staying there for like a day or a week and like pan up from Bib's rotting body, or maybe there's like an animal eating Bib or something. I don't know, something super graphic,
Something crazy. Yeah.
something crazy, right? That gives you an idea of how long Bib's been there, and then it pans up um to Boba, and he's sitting on the throne, and he takes off his helmet, and he kind of flips it over and looks at it and starts rubbing the dent on the helmet, and then it's a
Mhm.
flashback to the Cad Bane um
Oh
showdown,
yeah.
right? Like that
Yeah.
for me, that would be the most badass way to start this thing, would be to show how he took over the mantle of the baddest mofo in the galaxy,
Hmm.
right? So like
And then we get
obvious
Cad Bane on top of that, and Cad Bane
Cat
is
Bane's
my
a bad mother.
favorite. He is my favorite bounty hunter, and he is one of the only characters that I can ever think of where, if you remember going back to the original airing of the Clone Wars, they really worked him up.
Oh
They
yeah, they
really,
did a
the
lot of work.
commercials for it, and they were like, coming soon, Cad Bane and all that. They really worked him up, and he is one of the only characters that I can recall who has ever lived up to that hype.
Yeah, yeah. I think that would be the best way to show. Like basically, the way I look at it was Django was the nastiest, baddest bounty hunter in the galaxy prior to the Clone War, and
Hmm.
when Mace took off Django's head, there was a void that Cad Bane filled because he was already a badass, but he became the baddest bounty hunter in the galaxy and the most feared. And then comes on a young Boba Fett that is getting trained by Bosk and all these other amazing bounty hunters, but nobody really knows that he's Django's clone, right? There's only a few people that really know that.
Hmm.
And so he grows up to how poetic to take the mantle that his father uh, left void after Mace killed him. So I feel like it would be I feel that would be a great place to jump from, because um, that's how he became the most feared bounty hunter. When you saw Boba Fett, you knew you were screwed,
Oh yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
If he had his sights set on you, you were screwed. So there were very few people that evaded Boba, and he was feared
Hmm.
everywhere. And how do you take that mantle? Because that's how people used to feel about Cad Bane until Boba
Yeah.
killed him. And so
Hmm.
that I feel like if you're gonna jump off and show me what a badass Boba is, you show me him rubbing that dent where Cad Bane shot his helmet, and then you flash back to the duel and make the
Yeah.
whole episode about that duel, the lead up, the interaction, how Western it was, the showdown between
Yes.
two gunsmiths. Like, I want to see that Western. You've shown me you can do it with Mandalorian. I want to see it again with two of the most iconic people during the Clone Wars.
Hmm. Oh hell yeah! And Cad Bane is a badass man.
Yeah.
He he was just a bad. There's a reason he's my favorite bounty hunter.
Well, and I want to
But
see the betrayal in Cad Bane's
yeah.
face when the showdown happens, of all the bounty hunters going, "Hey, we're out of this. This is between you two.
Hmm.
You guys figure out who's the kingpin here." And that's
Hmm.
when Boba, gets, yes, he gets shot in the face, but it bounced off that Beskar, and that's it. So yeah, I think yeah, exactly. Cad needs to die, and that interaction needs to
Yeah.
happen. And I think that showing that in the first episode would just put a stamp at, like, come on back for more next week and see what we got in store for
Oh
you.
hell yeah! The first episode starts out like this. Tune in next week to see
Exactly.
what
Yeah.
badassness is returning.
Either that or
Um,
that's got to be the season finale. Either that or that's how I want the last episode. If you're not going to give it to me
yeah.
at square one, you give it to me as the finale for
Hmm.
that episode, and then throw in the chaser scene of Mace showing up
Yeah.
uh at now the Boba Palace, but Jabba's palace.
Hmm.
Show him walking the same road that R2 and 3PO walked going to Jabba's.
Hmm. Yep. And
But I don't want to see Mace and Boba.
oh
Just between us girls, I don't want to see Mace and Boba. I want to see Mace. I want to see Mace and Kenobi.
and it could lead to that depending on how they connect this all. But I honestly think Mace makes the most sense in Boba.
For sure.
And
But
in
again,
Kenobi, it would be great,
I
and it
think
would
it's a
be a
little
hell
bit
of a
too obvious.
surprise.
I think it's a little bit too obvious
Yeah.
in Boba, and that's what I'm saying. I think that with the appearance of Bo-Katan, with the appearance of Ahsoka Tano, with the appearance of Luke Skywalker in Mandalorian, no one knew these were coming.
Mm-hmm.
Right? These were out of left field. So to hear, um, to for me, I feel like it's a little too obvious for them to bring Mace into Boba. I feel like that's what everybody is expecting, especially since Ming went and made that statement on TikTok or whatever, or that stream that she was doing that got cut off. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a little too obvious. I feel like if they're going to give it to us, it could be somewhere we don't expect. And for me, I think it would be the most poetic for Mace's character, right? Because we're getting a Boba show. So they're going to show us
Mm-hmm.
so much Boba. It's going to be Boba, Boba, Boba. It's not the Mace Windu show. And so where does he, for me, where does Mace's, where would Mace show up? Mace wouldn't walk in to go hunt down Boba. It would be the other way around. It would be Boba finding Mace somewhere, right? And unless that's
Yeah.
going to be an underlining theme of the show, is to see if Mace Windu is still alive. You got to remember, it's been how many years? 5, 6 years since Jedi. So that's 19 years since Mace went disappeared. So you figure, 20, 25 years if Mace is still even alive.
Yeah.
Cool. Maybe he
True.
maybe he gets a whisper of a purple lightsaber and sends his minions, and that's the underlining theme of the show. Cool, I can get behind that. But for me, I feel like it would make the most sense if Mace Windu is returning for him to seek out, if not Darth Vader, because there's not many people that know Anakin became Vader, and
Yeah.
because Mace got tossed out the window, he didn't get to see the crowning of Darth Vader by Emperor Palpatine. So he still looked at him as a Skywalker. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, if Mace does come back, it would make the most sense for me that he would be coming after Luke Skywalker. He would be coming after the name Skywalker. And
Yeah,
when
but then it goes on to how would he have heard the name and how would
I
he have
mean,
known Luke is.
I I
But I
I
guess
think
all that could be explained.
right. You do, and I think the best way for that to happen would be for, and this again, this I went into this on another stream. Um, it would make sense if Kenobi got Force lightninged and had got a little aged progression, and would maybe explain why he ages so much in the
Yeah,
deserts of Tatooine. Um,
because
it
we saw that
maybe
Maul didn't do that to him.
right.
Yeah,
It was already before Maul
it
showed
was
up,
before Maul. Yeah.
and if it would, for me, it would kind of circle back to the perils that Ben Kenobi really had to go through protecting Luke. It wasn't just sand people and stormtroopers. There was an actual friend he had to basically had to kill to
Mm-hmm.
uh to protect Luke to complete his mission.
Mm-hmm.
Um and it would be kind of poetic to watch another, not a battle between an enemy like Maul, but an old friend. You know,
Yeah.
instead of a
It,
battle of aggression, it would be more like the Anakin fight, pleading
like,
with him to stop.
yeah.
You
I was
know,
getting ready to say that, like with Anakin, when he said, "You were my brother, Anakin, and I loved you," and that line still gets me to this day. Anytime I watch Revenge of the Sith, when Obi-Wan says that, it's so heart wrenching.
well, even the conversation before the battle,
Yeah.
right? Like he's manipulating you, he's twisted your mind, he's evil. Well, from my perspective, the Jedi are evil, right? Like it's all
Yeah.
perspective, right?
Hmm.
And that's the thing is like maybe Mace went down the dark path, right? And I this is something else that I've said in other streams. Yo, what up?
Hey, what's up?
Um, something I've said in other streams is that, I feel like maybe Yoda's presence kept Mace in the light, right? Like
Yeah,
him
because
being
he straddled
around,
that line.
right?
Yeah.
And kind of like we saw in Visions in the Ninth Jedi, you saw one Sith that wasn't really Sith. He was just so consumed by the darkness of his peers, right? And I feel like maybe Mace fought the dark side more than he let on, and that's why he was so close to Master Yoda, was because Yoda's light kept him in the light. And that maybe once
Hmm.
all of his Jedi friends were gone, Mace could succumb to the dark side.
Hmm. There was nothing holding him back to the light,
Right.
really.
All of the
Hey,
people, all
Strike.
of the light. Yeah.
Hey, thanks for
What's
having
up,
me.
dude? Welcome back from production life.
Dude, yeah,
Yeah.
been crazy. Crazy 3 weeks. Yeah, glad to be back.
It's good to see you,
Yeah,
guy.
good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you guys too.
Well, I invited Strike on because he said he disagreed with you, and
Oh
I
yeah,
figured
we
it would be a good.
we disagree
That's the
on the
only reason
boba.
why you brought me on. Oh, come on.
No, it's also because I love
That's
you,
how it
Strike.
is. I see.
That's it.
Okay.
I'm out of here.
I got
Hey, now I do have one question though, because this has been killing me to know what everybody thinks. And chat, you guys get in on this too. When Mace cut off Django's head, right, and then we see Boba pick up the helmet. Is Django's head still inside the helmet when he
no,
picks it up
no,
and
No.
puts his head on it?
no. You can actually in the movie you can see the shadow of the head like flying out of the helmet
Oh,
before,
Yeah.
like
okay.
when the yeah. So no,
I
no,
always,
it's not
I don't
that
know why
gruesome.
I
Not
always thought that.
like little Boba
I
be
was
like,
like, that would be
get
kind of
out.
gross.
I think it would have been better if the head
Hold
fell
on.
out when he picked it up.
Yeah.
That's what I always thought too. I
You
was like,
know,
Like,
what is it, like
honestly,
a
that would
can
be
of
that kind of thing that George would be like, all right, yeah, and the head is going to fall, and the producer, no, no,
yeah, no. We're trying to make this
you
PG.
can't
Come
be
on,
PG
come on,
13
man,
with
cut it
come
out.
on, George.
This isn't 7. What's in the box?
that.
Yeah, kind of like the younglings thing. Yeah, we're gonna show everything. No, no, no.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and I understand, a lot of people want to see the Boba Mace reunion. They want to see that
Yes.
you killed my father, prepare to die.
Hmm.
My
My
name is
name is
Boba
Emil
Fett.
Montoya.
My name is Boba Fett. You kill my father, Django, prepare to die. We all want to see that, but I just feel like that's too. It's just a softball. It's just like, oh,
Well, and
here's, it just seems easy for them to do it. It doesn't seem like it doesn't seem like Lucasfilms. It's always a sleight of hand with them for me. It's never the way
mhm.
that they present it. It's always a rope a dope, so to speak.
Right, and I would hope that they don't make it as simple as, oh, Mace appears, Boba and Mace are gonna hash it out now, because I mean, kind of with Mando in general, with certain characters, they've kind of really took things in a direction that we didn't expect them to go.
Mhm.
So even though I want this sort of workout of like, or completing this, like making the circle complete of like Django's, Mace, and Boba's history, I would want them to do it in a way that we don't expect it to work. So,
See,
but
and I
yeah,
could I could get behind that. I would be okay with a stalemate much like the as much as I hate to use this example, much like the see, that's what I want. I want Leia Rose. That's what I want. I want to see Mace come after Luke Skywalker. That's what I want. I want him to I got a deeper impression of where I think that could go. But for me, I could get down on Boba and Mace have an epic battle, like 15 minutes long worth of like blasters and lightsabers and rope tasers, and it just gets gnarly. And at the end, it's very much like Rey and Kylo, where they're separated by a void, or maybe somebody activates a wraith shield and separates them to where they can't get to each other. Something along that line, that would be great, because then it leaves Mace alive for the future content.
Yeah.
And I could get down with that shit.
You know what I just had in mind? So like the idea of like having Mace or like descendants of Mace go after like the descendants of Skywalker, I can definitely get behind. So imagining, for instance, Mace tracks down Luke and it comes to sort of a showdown. What if like we have the showdown? Maybe they start fighting, maybe they don't even start fighting, and then it's just like Boba walking out of the shadows, and we have like these three different parties. Like Boba doesn't necessarily like Luke. He definitely hates Mace.
Right.
Mace definitely wants Luke killed, and Mace probably does not even care too much about Boba. At least that's how it seemed in Clone Wars.
Yeah, it was
Like
second thought.
that dynamic, if they set something up like that, I think that could be very interesting.
Yeah, I for me, that's what I want from Mace Windu. Number one, I want a dark Mace Windu. I don't want a light side Mace Windu. I want a dark Mace Windu. I want a Mace Windu that got his arm cut off and he got electrocuted and thrown out of the temple, and he wakes up and he is like, screw you guys, and either he goes into the dark temple under the Jedi temple, because no one knows about that. It's a real coveted secret in the Jedi that they built their holy temple on Coruscant on a dark Sith temple. So I would like to see
temple, yep.
I would like to see Mace get into that temple, and without the pull of Yoda and Obi-Wan and Ki-Adi-Mundi and all of these Jedi masters that kept him in the light, I would like to see a Sith, almost a Sith Mace showing up on Tatooine, and we think it's an Inquisitor lightsaber, right? Because it's a red, we see a red beam maybe in like the end of an episode. And then the next episode, we find out that it's really Mace Windu coming for the son of Anakin Skywalker. This is what he did to me. How can you defend the son of the man who destroyed the Republic and the Jedi Order and led to the death of Yoda and Baba, and goes on this huge rant? And Obi-Wan says, I must do what I must, and lights his blue saber, and they duel to the death. Like, that's the Mace I want to see. I don't want to see a purple-bladed nice guy Mace Windu. I want to see a vengeful, dark side Mace Windu.
I think no matter what Mace we get, it's going to be a dark Mace.
Yes.
I think no matter where he shows up at, he's going to be dark. Wherever, whether it be Book of Boba, whether it be Kenobi, whether it be both. I mean, hell, it could be both.
Honestly, yeah. I mean, right. And I do think, like, Arlena, I 100% agree. I think that the only way to bring Mace back is by having him definitely be dark side minded. I think I would still think, even though I guess it's kind of an obvious turn for him, but like I would like them to go more of like the, I guess, Legends route, with like him having a sort of Sabayoff attitude. Maybe even like explain it that way, why we haven't seen him for such a long time. So he has been on this world, like after he was in the Sith temple on Coruscant, like he has been harvesting his power and just like staying away from the Empire, and like maybe even like the same thing with like controlling a village, like just because I could definitely see Mace being that type of Jedi back in the days that did enjoy having control and power. I mean, he was always talking about like if stuff goes down, like we're just gonna control the Senate for a while and like we're gonna handle it. Like I feel like if he would go on the wrong path, he would definitely be the kind of dark Jedi that would like want control over people.
Oh, almost like the
Yeah.
village in
Oh yeah.
Mandalorian where we see Ahsoka, right?
Hmm.
Just literally controlling that
Hmm.
village with an iron fist. Yeah,
Hmm.
for sure. I would love to see a dark Mace Windu and maybe even making his own crystal bleed, right? Like show me that process
Yeah.
with
Hmm.
Mace Windu before he meets up with Kenobi, and that's why his saber's red. Like there's so many things that they could do with this character instead of just having
Hmm.
Boba kill him to complete the circle, right?
Ima-
Like
Imagine if like by making a purple lightsaber crystal bleed, it's a red lightsaber, but like it has like purple flickers from time to time.
I go one further. I would love to see like a dark, like those almost like a dark saber where the
Mm-hmm.
purple like you
Yeah.
said flickers
Yeah.
through
Ooh, yeah.
it's a
Okay.
red
Hmm.
Yeah.
saber with the purple cracks like the dark saber, you know?
Right.
Um
Hmm.
maybe that's something that he learns in the temple is like how to corrupt his saber, his crystal and make it like the dark saber, something, however they twist that tail. I just want a dark Mace Windu, and I really want him in Kenobi opposed to Mando or Boba, just because that's an unexpected play, and that's for
Hmm.
me the most poetic thing is that how I mean you see Kenobi in A New Hope, and he's kind of battered. He's been through a lot,
Hmm.
right? And just watching and
He's got some major PTSD.
right,
Yeah.
and not just from the
Yeah.
Clone Wars, but obviously from stuff that he's done. I mean, imagine that conversation at the
Yeah.
end of Kenobi with Yoda, right? Where they're
Yeah.
communing through the Force,
Hmm.
or with Qui-Gon,
Hmm.
and saying, Master, I've had to, slay another Jedi, and then Qui-Gon coming through and saying, uh, the Jedi died on Coruscant when the Empire took over.
Hmm.
That wasn't Mace Windu anymore.
Hmm.
That was insert the blank. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
and maybe because we hear his voice in the rise of Skywalker, maybe it's that similar thing with Vader. Maybe he slays him, but at the last moment saves him at the same time. Almost like it would be
Yeah.
poetic to see the mirror of what he did with Maul, and maybe even bury him next to Maul. Oh my god!
Wow. That would be
Oh,
mind blowing.
like literally, like hold him the same way he held Maul in the end, but explain to him how to transition into the Force. Like, let go of your hate, brother. Like,
Hmm.
let go and join the rest of join us in the Force or whatever. However you want to slay that
Hmm.
dragon. How poetic, and then to bury him right next to Maul, the two people he slayed, and oh my god, please do it.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
what's crazy is I think I this is and I'm sticking with this one. I think, and there's a lot of people that disagree with me, but I don't really care. I really truly think that it could have been Mace that saved Grogu when he fell from that height. He survived. He
Yeah,
went into the temple to get medical care, and when he did, he found Grogu. And at that point, he still wasn't dark,
yeah,
but something, he got Grogu, and whatever happens along the way is whatever happened. And he feels himself turn into the dark side and doesn't know what to do. So that's when he goes to uh and hires all those something happens, he hires all those people to protect Grogu.
yeah,
And that's where all those people came from,
Hmm.
that were protecting him because Mace hired them or they owed Mace a life debt, whatever the case may be.
Hmm.
That was their job, and Mace put them there. And maybe he went off to do more training, or he felt himself turning darker, and he intended to go back and get Grogu to make Grogu a dark apprentice. Or, it could go so many ways, but I truly believe that it was Mace that saved Grogu from that temple
And
because he
you could
had.
also. No, you go first.
Sorry, go ahead, Stripe. No, I was just gonna
This-
say, he was the only when you really look at it, because other people say Jocasta knew, but I don't think it was Jocasta knew. I think it was Mace because he was there. He was the only one at that moment that knew what was going on with the Empire, with Palpatine taking over and doing all this stuff. He knew that eventually they were going to come into the temple and destroy all the Jedi, because at that point he knew that was what was going to happen, and he saved Grogu, thinking, I'll train him and we'll restore the Jedi Order. But along the way, something happens, and his anger just continues to grow and grow and grow.
hmm. Yeah, I also don't think it's Jukasanu. Like, I know there's like a comic where I think originally survives the main attack, but I mean, let's be real. Comics aren't a hindrance. Like, they have changed stuff in Bad Batch, so they're definitely not going to stop with live action stuff if it makes sense. And like the library is very close to the main hall and the main entrance, so I just don't see her surviving the main attack at all.
No.
And also going back with like having Mace work into that whole situation, I think that could work out quite nicely because I mean, I, I hope and I think it's likely that we are going to see at least some sort of flashback of the temple in Kenobi, and we could. So for once, we could see the perspective of Anakin. And so like Vader looks back to that day, and then we have like his perspective, and then like at some point like the shot of like just the pure chaos like just turns around to a different scene, and we just see Mace going to the temple through like a hidden entrance, and we have sort of both perspectives in that flashback scene to know what happened.
Yeah. I feel like for me, and this is something I was saying before, especially after the Mandalorian season 2 finale, I feel like R2 is the one that rescued Grogu. I feel like you don't see R2 anywhere at the temple. You don't see R2. I don't think he's with Padme at this point.
R2 is at the temple because when Anakin flies to Padme's chamber, R2 is already in the seat of
R2
the
is
ship.
with her. Yeah.
Okay, so
So he
perfect.
was at the
R2 is with
temple.
them.
So
Yeah.
he's at the temple, and Grogu lets his guard down as soon as he sees R2 roll up behind Luke. Like you almost
Mhm.
see his physical stature relax when he sees and
Mhm.
hears R2.
And
And
R2 is
R2
excited too.
gets very excited to see Grogu, like
Mhm.
very excited to see Grogu. So I think that R2 was doing what R2 does, um while Anakin was basically invading the temple with his battalion. I think R2 was at the temple um rolling around trying to see what the hell is going on, and trying to suss his way through, and he sees Grogu scared and basically does the jetpack thing and tells him to hop on, and basically R2 flies him to a pod, programs the computer, and sends him somewhere. And not necessarily specifically to that planet, but maybe somebody R2 trusts, right? Because R2 is like one of the few droids that's super humane. Like he has
Mhm.
empathy, like he is a special unit. And so I don't know if he sends that child to Naboo and sends it to maybe somebody he trusts on Naboo from when he was there with Padme, maybe one of the Padme's guard that he knew from back in the day. But I feel like for me, Grogu was saved by R2D2. And just the way that they reacted to one another in that scene of Mandalorian, I just felt like that was a reunion of holy shit, you're still alive. Holy shit, you're
Mhm.
still alive. Yeah, right? Like
Right.
that's kind of how that felt to me.
I do
Uh-huh.
think we probably would need to hold it a bit simpler because I think Grogu saving him can work, but I think R2 getting Grogu out of the temple unnoticed is kind of like, even though
Yeah.
I don't know, I think it's a stretch, but I could
For sure.
see R2 sort of so R2 goes to wherever Grogu's hidden, so like the chamber, I don't know, like wherever.
Somewhere.
And they go to like a ventilation shaft, and like R2 gets into the main computer, opens that, and is like, Grogu, you just hide here. Like, I'm gonna close this. No one's gonna find you. Like, good luck. And
Yeah.
then at some point, like more or less with luck, I know there's no luck, but Mace comes into the temple, maybe even after the whole fighting, like maybe all the clone troopers have gone already, and like Mace comes back to the temple just to see what happened, and then he finds Grogu and like he takes him off world.
Yeah, for me, I feel like Kenobi and Yoda can't show up to the temple and Grogu still be there. Because they would feel him. They would feel his fear. They would feel his anxiety. They would,
Right.
especially Yoda, right? So, like for me, I feel
Yeah.
like
And
R2
species, yeah.
R2 kind of does, the
Mhm.
same thing that he does with Yoda on a couple circumstances. He's like, "Yo, hop on, let's go," and kind of does the same thing with Grogu and puts him in an escape pod or puts him in a ship and just sends him. He's like, "Go, you got to go, girl. Like they're stabbing people in there. You can't stay here. You got to go," and just throws him on an escape pod or a ship and blasts him off to where, somewhere, like I said, R2's got a lot of connections in the galaxy over his time. Like he's met a lot of people and he's a real good judge of character. I think even Anakin's turn surprised R2 because Anakin
Yeah,
Mhm.
for sure.
was so connected to him. And so, I
And we
feel
learned
like,
that in the Clone Wars. They were really connected.
well, and
And
R2 has legit PTSD with Anakin. Like you see
yeah.
it in the original trilogy when Luke says
Yeah.
R2 stay here, R2 never leaves his side because the last time Anakin said wait by the ship, he never came back.
Yeah. Like you can, like on that scene on Mustafar, it's literally, you can see R2 was like, all right, buddy, let's go. And Anakin like, nope, you stay here. And
Yeah.
like R2's like,
R2's got some serious
up, bro?
PTSD with that. And that's why, like on
Yeah.
Bespin, he's like on Luke's hip. He's like, I'm not leaving. And that's why he gets pissed when the door shuts between him and Luke, is he's like, damn it, it happened again. Like he's literally upset that he got separated again. I mean, same thing on Dagobah. R2, you wait by the ship.
Yeah.
Cool, I'm gonna take a swim. Bloop. Like
yeah.
I'm not leaving your side for nothing because the
Yeah.
last time I left my master's side, that dude never returned.
Right.
And
And
it
I
broke
I
me
mean, I
off.
totally agree with you. Like I could definitely see R2 trying all of his best to try and save Grogu. I just ask myself whether or not it's realistic that R2 kind of rolls around the temple, like hidden entrance or not, and 501st troopers not noticing that there's a little Grogu walking behind him.
No,
Like,
I
that's
think
the only
yeah,
thing that I'm thinking about.
I think R2 blasting because he knows the schematics of the temple better than anybody, right? Like he's got all the goods on everything. So if anything, I think he rolls in and the 501st is like, you shouldn't be here, R2. And so he's like, okay, and just keeps on trucking along and like, okay, I'm gonna get out of here, and just keeps on going,
Right.
and then just stumbles onto a scared Grogu. And like you said, I think they kind of navigate through like droid secret mission style on like, hey, oh, okay, there's people over here. This is where we got to go. Like, here's where the secret escape pods are, something like there's R2 has so much knowledge and so much like so many secrets that he never tells. And so I feel like he's always got an ace up his sleeve. And I feel like he pulls out one of his aces for Grogu and at least puts him on an escape pod to where another Jedi finds him or something along those lines. But I really feel like R2 is the crux of how Grogu got away, just because the way they reacted to one another. Like he was kind of hesitant with Luke, and then R2 rolls around and he's like, all right, pick me up. Let's go. I'm out of here. Like it automatically.
Looky boy, was it? All right, take me with you.
Hey, I knew you were a good guy. Come here, big butt. Like I really feel like that R2 broke the tension and really made Grogu feel safe.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And there's no way for him to have done that unless he literally saved his little green skin,
Yeah.
you know.
I
And
mean, I
so
definitely
Well,
want to
how
see
about
that because
this?
I mean,
No, I was just gonna say, how about this? What if what you said, obsession, did happen, and R2's rolling around doing his little R2 thing, and he finds Grogu, and then he finds Mace Windu
that would be
and
amazing.
gives Grogu to Mace because he knows Mace.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
that's also a possibility.
I love all of it. I really think 100% that there's a connection between Grogu and
And,
R2
yeah.
that's unspoken.
And besides the fact that Grogu would have seen Grogu, I mean, yeah,
R2.
Grogu would have seen R2 in the temple,
Yeah. A
just on a
bunch.
on a normal basis.
Mhm.
They would have seen each other. So, and like you
right.
said, yeah, there would have to be a deeper connection there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that does make sense. But I think it could also be R2 finds him and he's like, okay, what the hell do I do?
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know what
and
to
like I
do with
said,
this kid. There's nowhere to put him. He
find
finds
another Jedi
Mace
or
because
Mace.
Mace is hiding and licking his wounds, so to speak.
Yeah.
So he ends up finding Mace in the lower depths of the temple or what have you, and gives Grogu to Mace.
I mean,
So you got
yeah.
R2 initially saving him and then giving him over to Mace. And then that would also help explain how Grogu ended up on that planet with the protectors. And you wouldn't have to dive into a whole bunch of, okay, how the hell did all this happen?
Right.
It would be a nice even keel of R2 gave him to Mace. Mace figured out what the hell was going on, felt himself going dark,
Hmm.
had these
Yeah.
people that owed him a life debt or whatever,
Yeah.
and they said they were going to protect him. So yeah,
Yeah,
I
there's a
mean
lot.
And
that could really go hand in hand.
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
from a
there's
character,
Go ahead, brother.
all right, from a character perspective, I think I very much support the idea of R2 having a big role in saving Grogu too, because I feel like in the sequels, R2 was definitely cut short in his typical R2 moments that we know and love him for from
Yeah.
the OT and the prequels. So I think giving him a bigger role in Kenobi or what show, whatever, is
Mando.
definitely something that we kind of have to see.
Yeah. I would love to see it.
Yeah.
I think this next year is going to be full of or the next, 3 or 4 shows are going to be full of fun. Um, I know we got the announcement on Hayden being in Ahsoka, so that's going to be big news to come up on
Mhm.
as we get closer. I think the
Oh
the
yeah.
tr- the trio is the trio's back together, so to speak, in one form or another,
Mhm.
whether it's Force Ghosts or whatever. I think with if we don't see Ghost Kenobi and Ghost Anakin with Ahsoka, I'm gonna be pissed because I
Oh,
think
you ain't the only one.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah,
they all three that because what did they I think young Ahsoka said, as long as the three of us stick together, we're unstoppable or something like that.
Yep.
Um,
yep.
and I think if we don't see those three together in the Ahsoka show, I may have to lose my mind.
I mean, come on. I mean, now
Mhm.
we've gotten the news that Hayden's gonna be in it. Come on, it's just a matter of time till we see
Yeah.
the name
Oh
Ian
yeah.
there. I mean,
Yeah.
come on. You know,
And I want to see them both
Yeah.
as Force Ghosts. That's all I'm saying. I want to see them both as Force Ghosts together, like we saw them at the end of Return of the Jedi. I want to see them together with Ahsoka. Like I said, I don't want to see a lot of it.
Yeah.
I just want to, if we see it, I want it to be brief and I want it to be for teaching, not or guidance. I don't want it to be a regular visit. I don't want that to be a regular
Mhm.
thing where Force Ghosts just hang out with each other with you all the time. I want it to just be that special Luke moment that it's always been. It was only in special moments that Ben and Yoda came to him in Force Ghost
Mhm.
form. So I want it to be special. I want it to be if she's in trouble or having trouble figuring out something internal, that only her
Mhm.
two masters could help her figure out.
And with that too, that could be a makeup for some Star Wars fans where we didn't get to see in the sequel trilogy the big three together.
Yeah,
This it would be the big three of the Clone Wars
yeah,
together again.
yeah.
Yep,
It's
that would
it's the
be
Clone Wars.
fantastic.
It's the Clone Wars. Leia, Luke, and Han. Right. That to
Mm,
Yeah,
me, that's the trio of the Clone War era. Was
yep,
Kenobi, his apprentice, and Anakin's apprentice. That was the
yep,
the the trio.
yep.
for sure.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me here.
Well,
It
thank
has
you
been
for
a
having me.
blast. It has been a pleasure. Yes, I so enjoyed all of our conversation. Uh, Chat, thank you guys for showing up and putting all your input in. Sorry we didn't have as many laughs as we usually have, but I think this was a great conversation. I enjoyed every damn minute of it. So thanks, Obsession. Thanks, Strike. Thanks, Chat. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. Subscribe to Obsession. Subscribe to Strike if you're not already. You guys have anything else to add, real quick?
No, it's fun. Let's do it again
Thanks for
sometime.
having me on. And
Yeah, no
before,
problem.
is is Dave
Yeah.
safe? Is he all right?
Yeah.
Yes.
He is.
Unfortunately,
All right.
Strike, due
Unfortunately.
to due to your lack of faith. No, no, he's at Retropalooza, man. He's having a blast there at Retropalooza. So,
Good.
Awesome. Okay.
so thanks everybody, and we'll see y'all Tuesday. Bye.
Bye.
And we're clear.
And that's a